All right, let's talk about the game that everybody is wanting to talk about. Colorado versus Nebraska. Line is at 7, over under 59. The rivalry is renewed. This is an awesome game. I cannot wait to watch this one. Colorado versus Nebraska, I think, will be fantastic. And we're going to start breaking this game down with the Colorado offense versus the Nebraska defense. And we saw last year this Nebraska defense have a hard time keep up with the Colorado athletes on the outside. Shadur Sanders threw for nearly 400 yards in this game. But here's the problem for Colorado coming into this game. You watch that North Dakota State game. Give a shout out to Jordan Seaton. I thought he did a fantastic job as a true freshman starting at left tackle. The interior part of that line, though, has got some problems. There wasn't a ton of push against North Dakota State. And North Dakota State's average weight of their two deep defensive linemen is 261. Nebraska's average weight, 276. And that includes Polar Bear the Nash, who weighs in at 311, 6'4", and Robinson, 6'6", 311. It's a lot of beef up front to try to block and to try to establish some form of a run game. Because I think that's what Nebraska is going to do here. They're going to dare Colorado to develop some form of a run game because you cannot, I don't think Nebraska can keep up with these wide receivers. And we saw Colorado use a lot of 4 or 5 wide receiver sets. I think that's in direct response to the tight end room not being where it needs to be. And that could be a problem down the road in the Big 12 because so many of these defenses in the Big 12 are built to beat these 4 and 5 wide receiver high flying offenses. But for this game, Nebraska could get lost in space again if they try to man these guys up and they don't sort of play this, keep everything in front, swarm to the ball, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Because that, if you're a Nebraska fan, if you're a Nebraska backer, is sort of what you want to see. You want to see this Nebraska team just drop everybody back in coverage, let their big defensive linemen try to win their battles up front and push around that Colorado offensive line and just keep everything in front of you so that it is a more methodical system that Colorado has to utilize. You are getting to the red zone a lot, but there some of these matchups then start to turn more favorable into Nebraska's side of the football. Like Travis Hunter is awesome. He is him. He's a phenomenal player, one of the best football players in the country, if not the best football player in the country. There's an incredibly strong argument that he is the best football player in the country. But they didn't really have a lot of other answers on offense when they got to the red zone outside of Travis Hunter. So then the advantage starts to move to Nebraska defensively. Offensively, Nebraska versus this Colorado defense. I talked about this in the Big Ten preview, though. Nebraska's quarterbacks last year accounted for 81% of their turnovers. In this game alone last season, there were 4 turnovers, 3 of which were committed by the quarterback position. Dylan Raiola, even though he's a freshman, is an automatic upgrade over Jeff Sims in every way. That doesn't mean Dylan Raiola isn't going to have some freshman potholes. That doesn't mean Dylan Raiola isn't going to have some turnovers to him. That isn't to say that Dylan Raiola is this perfect quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. We know he's cosplaying as Patrick Mahomes essentially at this point. But he isn't Patrick Mahomes. I just don't know if Colorado has the defense to really force Nebraska's hand here. I do think Nebraska is going to kind of be a run-heavy team here. They're going to be more methodical with this. They're going to pick and choose their spots. They've got the wide receivers on the outside. That's going to be the interesting part. Colorado, I saw played 80 more over 80 or 7. Sorry, I saw last week that Colorado stat played over 71% of their coverages in man with a free roaming safety. I'm going to be super interested if Nebraska has seen what I'm seeing in the weak link in that secondary, or weak links, I should say. But there's one specifically that I think that they can pick on this week. Let's see if that happens. Because to me, as a fan on the couch, it became pretty obvious some of the downfalls in this secondary. The middle of the field is also just wide open. See if they attack that. See if Colorado's defense has cleaned that up a little bit. Let's see if this Colorado defensive line, for the talent they have in that room, can take a step forward after last week. I thought they were good, but I really had high hopes for that defensive line. I think it's a talented group. I think it's the second most talented room on Colorado. Can they be that, though? Consistently? Can they win when they get some one-on-one blocking assignments? What does that look like? Overall, I do give the edge to Nebraska in this game. It's just going to be interesting to see the kind of chess match, the game within the games that are happening within Colorado and Nebraska. and see how they can kind of battle back and forth, because it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very telling for what these two teams' outlooks are going to be on this season. I haven't made a wager just yet. I'm leaning towards Nebraska 7, but once again, maybe this is a teaser type of deal. Tease this with Texas or something and tease these down to 1. Maybe the play, we'll see. But it's going to be interesting. How does Nebraska elect to defend Colorado's offense? Do they not get lost in space against these wide receivers? Can Colorado establish some resemblance of a run game to help take some things off Shedur's plate? Nebraska, if you take away the turnovers, how does this Nebraska offense look against this defense? A lot of interesting questions are going to be asked and answered this week.